So, here we go. Let me just pause this for a second. Welcome everybody back to Gotcha News. Here I'm going to be talking about a little something about. We all know that Donald Trump has been coming out with some budget cuts, some fairly. I don't know if I would call them extreme, but they're fairly bold, and we're definitely hearing a lot about them on the news. So here we go. See, it says Trump's budget plan bolsters defense slashes domestic funds. See, some of the things here. So the plan calls for a $54 billion hike in military spending. We know that that's what Donald Trump is very focused on. He's very focused on strengthening our military and increase of $2.8 billion for Homeland Security, which is going to include $4.1 billion throughout 2018 for a Mexican border wall. Now, there's a lot of talk about whether or not this wall will actually be constructed or not. I think it just might be. We'll see. I think it could go either way. But anyway, at the same time, so other things that are being cut in this, and this is where we're going to get into the hypocritical part. There's just one aspect that I find very interesting about what he's cutting, and I understand that certain things need to be cut, but it's interesting what's replacing these things, because I mean, he is cutting budgets, but he is spending a lot of money, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. So we're also going to see some cuts going on in the Environmental Protection Agency, FEMA, and the Agriculture and Labor Departments, eliminating federal funding for, this is where it gets interesting, folks, the National Endowment for the Arts and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and such kind of after-school activities and stuff that they encourage America's youth to participate in. Many people are really standing up for the arts and for after-school activities because they know that could be very helpful to a lot of children. Even though I believe it was this guy that was speaking on his behalf, that Mulvaney guy, he was talking about there isn't much evidence that those things help or not. I have to disagree. I think that those things do help, but I do understand that these things do need to be. Maybe they're not the most important at this particular. Listen, if we had a surplus, folks, I say spend all the money you want to spend on whatever he wanted to spend it on. If we had a surplus, but we ain't got no surplus. We've got some issues here. But this is where I find it interesting, and I have to call out the hypocrisy as I see it. You see, as when Donald Trump was coming into the Oval Office and getting ready to make that transition, you see, Melania decided that she was going to stay in Trump Tower for the rest of the year with their son Barron, because she thought it was very important for him to finish the school year, which I understand you don't want to uproot the child, but at the same time, y'all knew you was running for president. Didn't y'all think about this ahead of time and maybe have a little talk with little Barron and tell him, this and this might happen. We might have to pull you out of school and you may have to go to the White House. This whole arrangement, what makes it controversial is that it is costing $183 million just to keep it's going to cost $183 million in taxpayer dollars this year just to keep Melania and Barron safe and secure at Trump Towers in New York City. So that's a lot of money, and there is some whispers going on that they might actually stay there indefinitely and they may not leave for years. And it's just interesting that that's going to cost us about $183 million or so. And when it comes to the National Endowment for the Arts, that costs about $148 million. That's their annual budget. So we're cutting that out, but we're cutting that out, something that is meaningful to many, many, many children. If thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of children, it could be very meaningful to them. So we're cutting that out so that we could spend $183 million on one child getting to go to school in their private school in New York City and not being uprooted. See, that just don't make any damn sense to me. I don't understand how this is even allowed. I think we shouldn't be spending $183 million. I can understand the National Endowment for the Arts taking a cut, or even if he wanted to cut it all down completely. This is just nonsense and ludicrous. We're spending $183 million so that one 10-year-old boy can go to a private school. That just doesn't make any sense. So that's about all. Over and out.